Hello there, and welcome to You Don't Know Her, the Mindset Podcast, all about creating the best future for yourself, one by design, not by default. And today we are delighted to welcome back the very talented filmmaker, actor, stand-up comedian extraordinaire, Lee McShane. How are you doing, Lee?
Hey, I'm doing good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very, very good. Thank you. So yeah, we just thought it'd be good to pick this back up because there was a lot more we wanted to chat about, I think, last time, but we just for time constraints, we didn't get a chance to get into it all. But yeah, we'll just strike whilst the iron's hot and go straight into it. So we did a big kind of exploration into your journey in terms of schooling and further education, but kind of going beyond that, and from what I know of you, obviously the big thing now is Visionnet Media, isn't it? So, what's the timeline like between leaving Gateshead College and meeting Lola, or what's happened there?
It's actually very connected between Gateshead College and
Hmm.
where I am now because I'm in college. I was friends with this guy called Philip Moon.
Hmm.
And have you heard of like New Enterprise Studios, Dead Real Films and that?
Not no,
No.
unfortunately, no.
Well, his one of his cousins, like second cousin or something, is Wayne Thompson, who works for them.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
I got introduced to them through him.
Yeah.
They did Dark Forest short
Hmm.
film I wrote
Okay.
in
Oh,
2021,
oh well.
and I was following their page, and I was reposting everything.
Hmm.
And I just remember one day in 2021 November
Hmm.
where they were like, "Oh, we've had this talk with this act with writer and actress Lola Louise helping out with that TV show." I
Hmm.
was like, "Oh, that's cool. I'll repost that." And I followed her on Twitter,
Hmm.
X now, whatever.
Hmm.
And there was an Indiegogo going to
Hmm.
raise, I think it was £10,000. I can't remember. It was like
Hmm.
£10,000,
Hmm.
and so I donated. And then like that same day, I get a message from Lola being like, "Oh, thank you," and just we started talking, and I was like, "I got to know about Monday Blues."
Hmm.
And about a few weeks later, I joined on as script supervisor,
Hmm.
and then
Yeah.
everything just happened. Suddenly, I'm executive producer. I'm an actor in this.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been great knowing Lola.
Yeah.
Like, I was just in like a rut of what do I do
Yeah.
creatively. Like after Dark Force, I was thinking, there's nothing planned. My like last 8 9 months has
Hmm.
been Dark Forest, writing it, rewriting it, fundraising, filming it, and
Hmm.
everything. What do I do now? But
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
meeting Lola was fantastic because like I didn't think, oh, I'm going to be doing everything I am now. It's just, oh, I'm going to be Monday Blues and that's it. But then, became friends with her, got to know
Hmm.
her. And so, yeah, Vision
Yeah.
and Media, Double L Show, everything's come down from that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's what I mean, I mentioned last episode about vision boarding and things like that, but the other thing I like to do is journaling of kind of being grateful for what you've got because you've got to look back at like what you've got now. Wouldn't have been possible if you hadn't met Lola, wouldn't have been possible if you didn't go to Gateshead College, and all these sort of things.
I've actually like done a TikTok of that before. It was like, if I didn't drop out of sixth form,
Hmm.
I probably wouldn't be where I am now.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if I didn't drop out of sixth form, I wouldn't have went to Gateshead College the year I did. It
Yeah.
met the people I did, which
Hmm.
included Philip, who
Hmm.
introduced me to Wayne, who then I then met Lola through.
Yeah.
It's like all connected.
Yeah, yeah. It's unbelievable. I mean, you look at someone like Mark Zuckerberg, if he didn't decide to drop out of Harvard, he probably wouldn't have had Facebook be what it was. He wouldn't have had Meta become what it was and Instagram and everything like that. And me and you might not have connected because we connected on Instagram, didn't we? So
Yeah.
it is wild how it all works together and comes together. But Lola, and you mentioned Monday Blues there. I actually had a meeting with Lola yesterday to discuss kind of a little bit of info about Monday Blues, and I said I'm very happy to help however I can in terms of that because it sounds like a great project. It sounds like there's a lot of exciting stuff happening with it.
It
Uh,
is really, really good. I like it's changed a lot like since I first got on board,
yeah,
but I'm really excited to see, how it goes as well as this next project that's going to be happening.
yeah, yeah. It's the thing is until you're 100% sure as a team, as you and Lola or the writing staff or whoever, until you look at that script and go, that's 100% perfect, I wouldn't change anything. I think that's in your heart when it's there
Oh
because
yeah.
I've again from a songwriting background, I've heard the quote we say in songwriting is the rewrite is the real right. You know, the first draft is kind of that's what it is. It's a kind of idea of like this it could be what this is. Let's see how we can make it better. I think a lot about talk between Paul McCartney's talked about this quite a few times, but he wrote a song with John Lennon when they were in the early days of the Beatles, and it was she was just 17, if you know what I mean. That was the original, like that was the lyric that they ended up using. But Paul McCartney's original lyric was she was just 17. She never was a beauty queen. And he said, ah, it's all right, that isn't it? And then it was like, ah. And the other one is Eleanor Rigby, the Paul McCartney wrote like Eleanor Rigby, pretty much all of it by the sounds of it. But one of the lyrics he wrote was Father McCartney, like da 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 da, like that was the lyric. But then he said, I don't like McCartney because my name's McCartney. So like, but people think I'm being very, selfish or like, talking about myself. So he and John Lennon sat and looked through the phone book and got to McCartney. And the next name they found that was good enough was Mackenzie. So they went, oh, let's do that. So it's Father Mackenzie. And that's why they did it. And it's like, everyone loves that now.
What impressed me with like the Beatles is just how fast they could write songs. Like I
Yeah.
remember they wrote a song for the Rolling Stones,
Mm,
and there was a bit missing,
mm,
and they said, "Oh, okay, then give us a second." They went out the room,
mm,
and I think like 30 seconds later they came in with a full-on bridge verse,
mm.
and they're like, the Rolling Stones like, "Oh, what's the matter? Did you forget your pen?" They said, "No, here's the song." They're
Yeah.
like, "What?"
Yeah, yeah. I think the Beatles. I don't personally. I don't think there'll ever be another band like them. I don't. I think what they had and the circumstances around what they had was unbelievable. They were all from Liverpool. They were all unbelievably gifted in their own rights. And the thing, even to the extent that the original drummer was called Pete Best, and then he was replaced by Ringo Starr.
Yeah.
And I think someone had said that Pete Best was a better drummer, but that Ringo was a better Beatle. He was a better like, yeah, he made more sense in what they were doing. And I think the other quote is that someone says, "Is Ringo the best drummer in the world?" And I think John Lennon goes, "He's not even the best drummer in the Beatles."
I don't think I've seen that quote.
Yeah,
I think, what was it?
it's
Paul McCartney played drums when Ringo was on a break for them. I think.
I'm not sure actually on that, but I do know that with musicians like that, they tend to be very good at multiple instruments. Actually one of my contacts that I've met with a couple of times is this guy called Rob Wells, and he said his big break pretty much came. He's Canadian, and he used to write a lot of kind of low level Canadian, he said you right here with kind of people that aren't anywhere, and eventually one of them kind of cracks the chart or whatever, or maybe makes a chart appearance, and you think, okay, now that they're here, I can start doing things. And he said that's kind of how his career was progressing until the point where he got himself into the studio with a 12-year-old boy called Justin Bieber, and Bieber, he said Justin Bieber at 12 was unbelievable. He was going around, he was unbelievable on the drums, he was a fantastic guitar player, and then he was singing as well, and he said, this kid's incredible. And then the song that they wrote together featured on Justin Bieber's first album, and that kind of made his career explode from there. Rob Wells. So yeah, it is. I think it all ties into exactly what you've just said. It's just accepting things for what they could be. Rob is probably he left a very good job to pursue his hobby, and he just thought I'll just do it because it's fun and I like doing it, and I'll just try and I'll keep offering my services for free or maybe like small amounts of money or whatever. And eventually he's finally got his opportunity with Justin Bieber, and now he's worked with Ariana Grande, Weezer, and things
Wow.
like that. And yeah, it's mad, isn't it? So yeah, is that something? I mean, have you seen anything yet of people you've worked with that have maybe had more of a profile than yourself, or maybe have gone on to have more of a career or a profile? Is there anything like that?
Two people stick out of mind.
Hmm.
One person who I went to sixth form with, who I did some of the theatre stuff. She's went on to be in the Theatre Royal, the
Hmm.
Jerry and Sewell.
Oh wow, nice.
She's also been in a horror film,
Hmm.
which yeah, she's actually done pretty well as person I was in West Lothians with in Shields,
Hmm.
Andrew Dawson. He's done lots of theatre in the North East, directed. He's went to drama school in Manchester.
Hmm.
He's done TV stuff, and it's like
Hmm.
really good to like see like people I work with, knowing that they were good, be like actually get the success. It's
Hmm.
like, go on,
Yeah.
do I want to see this?
Yeah, it's amazing to see. That's why I asked it and why I love to hear about it because some people's mindset is, oh, that could have been me. But your mindset is clearly, oh, that's so great. That's an inspiration. That can be me as well. We can all do it. So,
I
yeah,
don't get the point. Like, if you see people you know and you've worked with get success, why get jealous over it?
yeah, yeah.
It's like, if you want that, work towards it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they were at the same point as you, weren't they? At some
Yeah.
point, they were sat there with you. They were happy to work for free on a project because they believed in it, or whatever. And circumstances have fallen for them that's given them this opportunity, but it doesn't mean it can't fall for you as well, or for anyone else, as long
Yeah.
as you're there to welcome that chance. But yeah, no, incredible. So I think whilst we're here, I'd probably love to chat about the kind of big films as well and big inspirations in your life. So is there any you're an actor, you're a comedian, you're all this sort of thing. Are there any particular stars of the world that you've looked at and thought, oh, I'd love to emulate something like that, or that's given you hope?
Definitely one is Clive Barker,
Clive Barker, okay.
the horror. Yeah, he wrote Hellraiser.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh yeah,
his stories have like influenced Candyman in that.
yeah, Candyman, good.
Just watching like how they did Hellraiser, the first one, like an independent,
Hmm.
basically like not really having a lot of budget to play with, but they made it work and
Hmm.
how it goes on to be successful.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
it's really good. It's like definitely I'm a massive horror fan,
Hmm. Yeah.
and watching how low budget most horrors can be because studios don't really believe in them. I
Hmm.
mean, even the Academy never gives like credit to them. Like
Yeah.
there's definitely performances in the past 10 years, like in Hereditary,
Hmm.
um, in just loads of films like that.
Nope. No, well, Nope. Is it Nope a
Actors,
horror? What do you call it? Yeah.
sorry,
Nope. Would you call that a horror? Nope. The Jordan Peele one.
it's horror. It is horror, but
Yeah.
Jordan
More
Peele, what
psychological.
he likes to do is he likes to play with the genre. That's why a lot of people thought Get Out wasn't really a horror film; it was more of a thriller. That's
Mm.
why for us, he decided to make it full on horror.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's
I know he says horror is sort of like this, like what he likes to make as well as comedy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's exactly. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I love the horror genre as well, and I've spoken about this with people before on this podcast. I think the beautiful thing about horror is that if it's a good horror, if it's a good idea, it's probably the one genre that can be the lowest budget out of anything. If you look at things like the Blair Witch Project and things like Saw, they were so low budget originally, and they became massive, massive successes. So is that something have you done much horror yourself, or would you consider doing horror as
I've wrote a lot of horror.
wrote horror? Yeah, not kind of got to the development stage yet, or
I've wrote horror. I've had one produced by Smoggy Productions,
hmm
The Walk.
mm.
Dark Forest, like I say,
Mm.
is not out yet. But that's a horror film.
Yeah,
It's just a genre there which you can be like creative with.
yeah,
You can do so much with such little
mm.
that if it does become successful, then yeah, it's
Mm.
perfect.
Yeah,
I think some people, you know, do it intentionally just because they want to see a small budget go successful. Like
Mm.
I remember reading the guys who did I forget the name of the horror film, but they were influenced by Texas Chainsaw Massacre and how low
Oh.
budget that was and what a success that was. That they thought when they were like filming it, when they were writing, they were like, "This is going to be our big break,"
Mm.
and all it did was become a TV movie
Mm.
that a lot of people
Mm.
remember for good special effects, but not a really great story.
Yeah, it's yeah, I mean, yeah, there's so many examples in horror of I mean, I can't even remember any of the names of the films, but Amazon Studios recently, a few years ago, they put out quite a few horrors at the same time because I think they were probably hoping if one of these is big or if one of these hits it big, it's going to be huge for us. And unfortunately, I don't think any of them did, but it's obviously given studios like Amazon the idea to go, well, look at what these films have done, for that low budget, if you can do it as well. And
Oh
there's
yeah,
been some great examples. You mentioned Hereditary. I love Midsummer. I thought Midsummer was a fantastic film as well. But yeah, but then you look at some other genres, things like sci-fi can be so high budget and again fail massively sometimes if the story's not quite right or it's believable, isn't it? Are you a sci-fi man as well? Do you like sci-fi or?
I like sci-fi. It's just not like my go-to genre.
Yeah, yeah. I Yeah, well, one of my favorite shows is Black Mirror. That's quite sci-fi heavy, but they do a horror episode as well called Playtest, which is and again that was a Channel 4 TV show originally. Probably fairly it's probably fairly high budget actually, but then it was picked up by Netflix and it became more Americanized and it became a massive success from there. And yeah, and I think it's one of the best shows ever made, to be honest.
Really good.
Really good. Yeah. Oh, have you seen Black Mirror? Sorry, yeah.
I've seen the first like three series, haven't really
Oh
watched
yeah.
most of it. It's just just how crazy it is, how they take an idea and they think, oh yeah, what happens if you could block someone in real life? Let's do that.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
happens if AI, this does that? Let's do that.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing ideas to see, and some of the stuff is very true to kind of what happens now as well, and things like that. I mean, there was one called "Hated in the Nation." That's one of my favorite episodes. That's from a newer season. You might not have seen that one, but that was the idea of what if like bees had died out and we had to have mechanical bees. So there was just an army of bees that were controlled by like a corporation and the bees eventually start turning on the people, I think, and like overpower the people, which is like, yeah, pretty mad. But it's like it all makes sense in the episode. It's like a 90-minute long episode. It's really well shot. It's an amazing story. And and yeah, and the other aspect of the episode is it's basically a game of death. You kind of hashtag a name, and whoever's got the most hashtag name, that person gets killed off that day.
Oh wow.
So like yeah, so people that are online saying really controversial things, people were hashtagging them, and it'd be like yeah, which I think's pretty a very interesting idea as well, isn't it? But yeah, so for yourself then, so obviously I've mentioned my love for Black Mirror. Are there any kind of new shows out at the moment, or shows of the last few years, or films even that have really captivated you and you thought, oh my goodness, this is because this is the thing. So many ideas have been done in film, but there's still new and exciting stuff happening now. Is there anything like that for you?
I remember watching the other night. There was this American show called High Potential.
Okay, I've not heard of that one.
It's like when it came out like this year. It's based on a French TV show
Hmm.
where this woman with like 160 IQ,
Hmm.
she's like working as a cleaner in the police department.
Hmm.
Accidentally, like she says, there's a board from which you're not sure of evidence,
Hmm.
and they're like, "Who's changed this?" And ask her, "Why do you think he's the victim? We think he's the suspect."
Hmm.
And she like breaks it down with all the little details
Hmm.
that the police have missed
Hmm.
because she can spot the tiniest detail in a room, and
Hmm.
she goes on to become like a police consultant, helping them with the cases.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. There's yeah. It reminds me a bit of the new Nicolas Cage film that just came out, Long Legs. That's really cool. Have you seen that one?
I've seen that one. It is really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's he the first thing that caught my attention about it was what's her name? Maker Monroe, is that the lead?
Yeah,
Yeah, or Maika Monroe, how
I
you pronounce
know
it.
the girl from It Follows because I can't pronounce her name.
Yeah, yeah, Mrs. Monroe, we'll call her. But the first thing I saw about it was they just strapped her up with a heart monitor when she went in to meet Nicolas
Yeah,
Cage for the first time, and you
I've
can just
watched
hear
it.
her, yeah, and you hear her heart as you're watching the thing, and you don't get to see him, and it's just so intense, and like you think, wow, what's he gonna look like? And they hold him back for a lot of the film, don't they? They don't reveal like his
Oh yeah,
face for the film, and it's like
it's just
yeah,
really
all
good.
that sort of
It's really good when they do something like what's never been done to promote a film.
yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I like William Castle films.
Mm,
It's because all the gimmicks he used to do
mm,
throughout his career to sort of build attention to the films
mm,
was really like he started off his career in theatre where he
mm,
was promoting a theatre show. And it was in the 30s, and this actress got an invitation. She was German,
mm,
got an invitation to go to Germany to do a play in Germany, and
mm.
she turned it down. And he was like, "Oh, hang on, we could do a spin on this." And he promoted as starring the girl who said no to Hitler. He
Mm.
went so far to deface the theatre himself with Jewish slang, Nazi symbols to make it think, "Oh wow, she's really like turned Hitler down. And he's mad about it." And
Yeah,
so, but he went to the theatre to see this actress.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's absolutely wild, isn't it? Yeah, there's so many unbelievable stories, not just in film and anything like that. There's like, yeah, so many things I just look at and think it's almost a miracle that everything's led up to this and and created this. But yeah, thank you again very much for your time, Lee. But we are there again. That's been another 20 minutes. So really appreciate that. And again, the final question I'd like to ask you is where can the people find you?
You can find me on TikTok at the Unreal Lee, and you can find me on Instagram at the_Lee_underscore McShane.
Fantastic, perfect. And again, I'll pop that in the description boxes below if people want to follow you there. But yeah, thank you very much, Lee, and I'm sure we'll catch up again very soon.
Hope so.
Cheers, take care, bye.
Take care.